Cheap, 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 cheap. Cheap, 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 cheap. Cheap, 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 cheap. Cheap, 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 cheap. I hate bugs. Any kind of bugs. Every kind of bugs. Crazy little bugs. I like hash and I like stew and I like mashed potatoes too. But I hate bugs. Any kind of bugs. Every kind of bugs. Crazy little bugs.
9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta, where the rents are reasonable, if you don't mind the wood lice.
It's the 9 billion names of pod with Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm the Whovian on Peruvian.
So, let's talk about some stuff.
Yeah, right.
So, we have some guests.
Hello.
Hi.
Talking wood lice.
Talking with
Oh, God, no.
Courtney and Hayley are back.
Yay!
For we're doing another Doctor Who roundtable, kind of. What would this be, like about a third of the way through with 4 episodes? About 12?
I thought there were 10 in a Christmas. Is it 10 in a Christmas or 12 in a Christmas?
12 in a Christmas.
12 in a
So
Christmas?
we're about
A nice baker's dozen.
Yeah.
All right.
And so we're going to catch up on series 10 of Doctor Who.
First 4 episodes.
First 4 episodes, which is actually what, series 40 something or other.
Well,
A million.
There's 2 timelines. It's like if you add in the classic, it's like episode 1011.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what's everybody thinking? We've got a new companion.
I
And we have
love her.
And we have a new companion, but assistant, helper.
We have been introduced to Bill Potts, and I really liked the way this came about because it wasn't just the normal meet in the street, save you from a monster. Hey, you want to go flying around in space with me?
Right.
She earned it. She really earned it. She was a student in his lectures, and she wasn't even a student at the school.
Right.
She was
She was a curious type. She worked in the chip shop.
in the chip shop, yeah,
Or serving up, I guess maybe in the cafeteria, serving
Cafeteria,
up
the-
serving
In the
up
canteen.
in the canteen.
chips. In the
yeah.
canteen.
And she snuck into his lectures because they were great. And she found what did the doctor say? Most people look confused when they don't understand something, and she looked excited.
Or most people frown when they hear things they don't understand.
Right.
And you smiled.
Right.
Thank you. Which I loved because you could tell, like, in every episode when there is definitely something that she doesn't get, there's no, like,
She doesn't. She
it's
doesn't
like
panic.
she doesn't panic. She smiles because she's like,
All right, let's learn
Let's
this.
go.
Yeah,
As opposed to,
that's why I
if
love
I don't
her.
know it, then
Yeah.
it's not worth knowing. It's more like, I don't know this. Holy crap, I don't know this. Let's know this.
Right.
So,
I love that she's not a panicker. She wants to learn, and that just makes her. It just makes her very strong.
I want to go on record and
female.
say, I love her.
Yeah.
I like her
I
a
think
lot.
she's
Brilliant.
I think she's
Fantastic.
fabulous. I got no problems at all.
I love her hair.
I love how they. I like how they addressed and worked it into the story of the first episode, the pilot, that she is a lesbian.
Yeah.
And it doesn't define her, but on occasion, certain events will bump up against that, like when a guy fancies her, and I like the way in the episode we just oh, you're not really my type. I usually go for girls. And he goes, oh, all right, never had a chance. All right, very good. And then
And that was it.
not
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
how terrible, or oh my gosh, maybe I can convince you. No, it's just like, oh, all right, good, bye. And
Well, I think
the
that's
end.
something the show's always been really good at, is just, like, with Rose and Mickey, like, it was a interracial relationship, and it was just like, oh, it's natural.
Yeah.
Like, just the way they've always kind of, with anything like this, it's always been very, just, it's normal.
Yeah.
Like, there's
No
any
big deal.
yeah,
It's
any,
not part of the story. It's
right, the
just-
hot, like, what we would consider, like, hot button issues, they're just kind of like, it's a thing, and we're done. Well,
Right,
here we
well,
go.
They
They're-
may
they're-
not necessarily be hot button over there anyway.
Well, that's true.
Whereas over here,
Yeah, but they're treating her being a lesbian as if she was left-handed. Like, oh, all right, not everyone's left-handed, but you're left-handed. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. Has anyone watched any of Class?
I have
not
not.
yet.
I
We have
watched
them taped.
one episode.
Okay.
I'm not going to follow it just because I have way too much TV that I'm watching already. but they're really going for mixed sexual preference, mixed race, they're mixed genders. They're really diversifying that up. It's a little obvious, like they're really pushing that. I hope it settles into being a little more just normal.
Well, not to jump ahead, but look at the episode we just watched. It was Bill getting renting a house with a bunch of students, and it was an Asian girl, an Indian girl, a Scottish guy, a Russian guy, I want to say, and Bill. So and a Brit.
Mix.
Right,
So
exactly.
it was a united
Big mix.
colors of Benetton.
Was she Indian? I really hope she was Pakistani, just because they get an awful.
Well, she said something about Morocco when she was talking when she stomped on the bug.
Did she? Okay.
Yeah, something about this happens all the time in Morocco or something
Okay.
to that effect.
Okay.
There you
So
go.
I think
Well,
Even better.
maybe she's
Yeah,
definitely
she's a Muslim girl, and of course they.
And again, they didn't make
Nobody
it
goes around going, "Hi, I think I'm this religion." You know, it's just and they're not.
Yeah. I think the thing is right now. I think what a lot of what our television is definitely doing right now, and a lot of American movies are kind of like, hey, we don't really agree with what's happening politically, so we're going to say whatever we feel through. And there's a conservative prime minister in power right now that a lot of people disagree with. So I think a lot of this stuff is like, well, you tell us that we can't do this, or you think this is wrong. Well, we're going to show you that we don't care.
it doesn't matter.
So I think I think that's probably a big reason why that's so prevalent in a lot of their shows over there right now, because they're just like, well, you don't like it? Well, then we're just going to keep creating it because we don't care.
We're going to mirror the society that we think is there for the most part, and we wish to see moving forward, and not this horrible. Today we just learned that France
Way to go, France.
rejected the Nazi Party, for lack of a better term, and not closely
By a landslide.
by double-digit points. So.
Way to go, France!
So screw you,
Vive la
Putin.
France.
You're not going to break up NATO, and you're not going to break up the EU. So.
Yes. And Doctor Who's leading the charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love her. I think it's a great matchup. I think he's a lot softer right now. I think there's a lot less bite to him. There's still a little bit of a grunge, but there's less venom.
Well, evidently,
I think he can learn from her.
He
I think
knows
this is
he's
happening.
going. He knows whether they're telegraphing it in his performance or in the writing that he'll be regenerating soon. And they're dropping tiny little regeneration hints throughout here, just a touch. And one thing that I know that is definitely the introduction of Matt Lucas's Nardole as a regular in this series. They've moved a lot of the comic relief over to him, but he's not in everything.
Right.
So he's not overpowering it, and he's not quite as funny as he has been in past series, at least in the first 4 episodes. There's still a couple of quips here and there, but it's a little more serious, somber doctor rather than, I'll fix it, joke, There's a couple.
Well,
you got a couple Scottish jokes in there.
he did.
Yes,
he did.
I'm not cross, I'm Scottish.
Yeah. Well, what it was, and we haven't. Haley brought up a point before. Did we miss something? There's some sort of oath that he took to stay on Earth.
Yeah.
And he was teaching there for 70-something years,
That's what they say, yeah.
So he's been grounded for a while. He hasn't been flitting around the universe.
By choice?
Or by unit.
He's there to guard something.
We don't.
Yeah, whatever's in the vault, or whoever, as they have just now learned.
The fact that he has a chummy conversation with it in episode 4 tells me that we're going to either go with Missy or Master. That's
Because
been-
we do know that the Master is coming back.
Master's
We
coming
do.
back, and we've already
And
seen...
we've seen Missy.
We've seen Missy's going to be back, so it's one or the other.
Yeah.
I don't know that I think that it's them in there, but
I don't know.
I don't know.
be.
I'm just excited either way, because
Yeah.
when I saw the trailer and I saw Missy in 1 second, and then I saw the Master in the other, and I was like,
It's time!
so yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I think Moffat wanted to have one more go around with those characters.
Oh yeah,
That
of
hope-
course.
Well, they're
Because
priceless.
They're
So
wonderful. At least Missy. I mean, good grief. Missy's just...
She's wonderful.
Gosh, that's a character you just die to write for. Just,
I love her.
Well, going back to Bill, I think one of my favorite things about her is that she notices things and asks questions like the audience would. Like, what kind of father brings his daughter bugs, like you said in this episode, and she was like, she noticed the rug, the TARDIS on the rug. I thought you said it had a crane. You know, she's like just noticing. She's not caught up in the whole thing. She's noticing and asking like simple questions that are profound in there and very necessary.
I actually think that her asking about bugs was a bit of a writer's cheat in a way, because what father brings strange bugs to their ailing daughter or son to ailing mother? How does I mean obviously some people think insects are fascinating, and I get that. But by and large, and a young boy would be just the right, look, Ma, this, ew, get it out of the house.
That makes sense.
Right. That I can get. It's a little bit of a writer's cheat, I think. I mean, it worked out in the end.
No, I think it's the opposite. I think it's the writer fixing that problem of we need to telling the story. Oh, they brought.
All right, maybe cheat is not the proper word. A very obvious, like, oh crap, we need to paste over that plot hole, that problem right there.
Right, but I think they're doing that on purpose. Like they're using her for those. Like they're seeing those problems and they're bringing her in. They're having her ask those questions.
Oh, I just thought of something. When we first hear about that, we're still thinking that it's a father bringing bugs to his daughter.
Yeah,
it was a twist.
But that's not something that a father does to a daughter. But it's something that a son would do to a mother.
Yes. She was getting to the truth.
You know what? Okay. You know what? I'm coming around on that.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean. It's like if that had gone through at the end of the episode, we would have been like, but why would the father bring and they're using her.
She's picking things up,
which I like a lot because there's a lot of. To me, I think it reflects a lot of the what we would call trolls. They're like, well, why would you do that? Why would you write that? That's dumb.
Yeah.
Why? What are you doing that for?
She's kind of the naysayer, devil's advocate to pipe up, and then Doctor goes, "Azum,"
and she's doing it in an innocent way.
Right.
She doesn't know. It's like, well, that's dumb. Why would we do that? And he's like, yeah, why would we do that? And he moves along.
I get a preview for 5. It's like the spacesuits are killing it. The only way we're going to survive is to get in the spacesuits. Oh man.
Yeah.
You've got 3,000 breaths, and then it kills you, or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that.
Well, I always like when the Doctor goes to space or to another planet where humans are trying to settle or do something.
Right.
Because we had the zombie spacesuit ones, and then
that was in the library.
The moon was a freaking egg.
Yep.
That one was weird. But then there was also the one with the brothers on the cargo ship in space. Remember where they were the lava creatures?
Yeah. There was the Hell asteroid one. So they do that a lot. They must have a lot.
I like it when they go to space.
The waters of Mars.
Mars. Oh, that one was. Go back. Good job.
So good.
That one was really good.
So let's run down the first 4. The pilot. That's the first one.
I think that's a clever little. Stephen Moffat, hey, we're starting over. We're going to call the 7,000th episode the pilot.
Well, over there, I don't believe they call the debut episode a pilot. I think that's
right, but I mean, he knows.
But he knows his audience.
Beginning of the first, the episode of the first series.
That's our introduction to Bill, and that's the what was it? The puddle monster, the puddle alien monster.
Now here's the thing that I find strange is that there was a creature looking up from through the puddle, making decisions and talking. What?
That was her. It absorbed her, is what it was. That was her face looking out. It was it Mindy? What was I forget her name? Heather.
Is it Heather?
Yeah. It absorbed her, and that was her trying to get out.
No. The pilot has been selected.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Follow. Like,
I think that's just the puddle itself.
Is that the voice of the entity?
I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
It was. I mean, my guess. I don't know. It never really got into it that far, but he said there were scorch marks.
Yep.
It obviously left this puddle thing to maybe find their pilot to get them back home. They found their pilot. And then that was,
or it was part of the ship that was left behind, and
Yeah.
The ship itself was trying to get back to wherever it was going.
And it found its pilot, and Bill just happened to be associated with it.
Yeah.
And she was just following her because it was like a, please don't leave without me, and so that's why she hadn't left yet.
Right.
And they make a point. There is, when you look in the mirror, you are not looking at how other people see you.
Right.
Yeah.
You're looking at it flipped. There's a thing called a true mirror that they used to make, which was a series of 3 mirrors that took your image, bounced it, and when you looked into it, you actually saw exactly back to yourself what other people see, which is the flip version of what you see in a mirror. And it's a little unsettling.
I'm sure it is.
Because it's, and of course, they make a good point. She had the defect in her eye, which she was immediately able to tell, like,
That's weird.
why is it in, so, not bad.
I love Nardole in that episode so much. I am a huge Matt Lucas fan.
I love
AOA,
Matt Lucas.
but he just has the best lines when she's in the TARDIS and he's like, "Oh, human, shall I repel her?" And then when she finally gets around to the "it's bigger on the inside" line, he's like, "Oh,
we finally got there."
Finally got there.
He shakes the doctor's hand. They're using him so well. For
That was the best, because as soon as
yeah.
I'm like waiting for it, all right, here it comes. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah. She
They're not going to do it. They've got to do it. And then later they got there. I was
Finally
like,
get there.
thank you.
And I love the fact that there's a companion that he's as far as we could tell, he's a reconstructed robot, cyborg, whatever. He's not phased by any of this at all.
No, because he's from that Christmas episode, a couple of Christmas episodes back.
Yeah, he used to tool around with River.
Right.
So none of this. So he's just so nonplussed by everything.
Oh, look, monster coming this way. Shall I, yeah.
Well, he still gets afraid, but when they're running away from Daleks and
Yeah,
stuff.
he's still part human.
Yeah.
He's human head, android body ish.
But the endoskeleton. I'm the cyborg.
And I loved all the Easter eggs in the first one too.
Yes.
All the the desk pictures
of
Susan and River,
Oh, yeah.
which I loved. I was like,
yeah, that was
call
heavy.
back.
The
River.
cup full of sonic screwdrivers he had too. I don't know if you noticed that.
And the one
Yeah.
that he threw at her was the one that was Tom Baker's.
Was it Tom Baker's?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't know them well enough to.
Yeah, I think there was a mix of them. At some
Yeah,
point,
I
but they
saw
always
Matt
usually
Smith's
carry
was
over.
in there, hidden behind some of them.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
I
that's
knew
serious
it was an
Doctor
old
Who
one.
trivia. It's like, here's a chart of, 10 screwdrivers.
Yeah.
I think there's been 9, because some
There's
of
been
them,
less than that.
some of
'cause-
them care, but here's the match the Doctor to the screwdriver. I'd be like, I'm out. I couldn't match one to any Doctor.
I could do 3 or 4, but
You think?
mostly
Yeah.
the new ones. Like none of the classic.
None of the old school
ones.
ones?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the Tennant
Well,
and the Matt Smith.
Yeah, and the old school ones are very 70s. They're like the thin, to me they always just mirror the 70s talk show microphones.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Like
There's
just
not
the
much
thin,
to them.
There's
Yeah,
not much
it's
to
pretty
them,
funny.
but
We'll be
yeah.
right back
Did
on
you notice-
Card Sharks.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you
Ta-da.
notice on
Yeah.
this one that was more like a torch?
Yeah, it's got lights. The
Yeah.
Doctor's
This
is.
long. The light is this long.
Yeah.
It's
I
like
love
a
it.
torch.
Yeah, it's almost like a
he
CFL bulb
carries
is
it
what it
like
looks
a-
like.
Like a torch.
Like a torch
Yeah.
as opposed to the screwdriver.
He's been using it as that for a while too.
Yeah.
Just the
It's-
light
it's
stuff,
just- it even has a certain way you hold it. Like it's different.
Yeah.
which was great in this episode because in this 4th episode, not to jump ahead again, but everything was made of wood, so
Can't do
it
it.
was
Those
useless.
little line, it was like, can't do anything. It's made of wood.
yeah,
It's
Lots
all
and
wood
lots
in
of
here.
So
So the second episode is probably my favorite out of the 4, Smile.
Since we live in an age
Oh
of
my
emojis.
gosh.
And
Yeah.
let me tell you, you change a little bit, change a few characters around, and you've got a Black Mirror episode. It's
I still won't watch that show. I can't
Oh,
do it. I
you-
can't.
I've heard
It's,
about
I
it. and I'm
can't,
not
but
sure.
Am I the only person who's watched Black Mirror in this group?
Yep.
yeah,
Yes.
I've only seen the ones.
Yeah,
I
basically
just
Black
can't.
Mirror, how technology will definitely be the end of us in the future. This episode was exactly that.
yeah.
I thought it was great. I thought it was great. All of it. It touches on so many aspects of what our society has come
absolutely.
to rely on,
Yep.
what we think we're entitled to.
And what we've subcontracted out of our own humanity into the
Right.
machines.
Yeah.
Like, I can hardly spell or do math anymore because I got a machine to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
another 100 years, someone like me will just, have a cocked head with drool coming out the corner doing nothing because the robots will be doing everything.
We'll be in our floaty chairs.
Yeah.
Like in
yeah,
Wall-E.
like in
Aw.
Wall-E.
But
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason I still keep a map in my car, because if my GPS goes out, I know how to read a map.
That's very smart.
But I'm just saying, like, that's what I loved about it, was that, like, we're not allowed to really experience. And the other thing I loved about it was that we're not allowed to experience grief. Grief is looked on as a disease.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that's why. And I love that. I think that was my favorite
Absolutely.
too, because it was like, that's what our society also.
Well,
views
you
it
looked
as.
at the list of 450 Trump care pre-existing conditions. One of them is grief.
Great.
So we're on our way.
But it makes sense that machines wouldn't understand.
They wouldn't understand
what grief
yeah,
is.
The
we're-
new-
They don't understand
nuances,
emotions. You know.
Yeah.
We're only
Well, they
here
understood
to-
happy and sad, but the
Like in
levels,
other things,
the,
though, they
the
don't understand
degrees-
emotions.
Right.
Yeah, we're only
Movies
here
and
to
TV.
make sure that you stay happy, and if you're not happy, then what do? We'll just kill you.
Yeah.
Because
Well, no,
you
because they
can't be
said
happy.
it's contagious. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if I'm unhappy and I say, "Hey, Dan, this unhappy thing happened to me," you're like, "Oh," and then
gonna be
you're
unhappy
unhappy,
too, yeah.
and then it spreads like a
Doesn't-
disease,
right. And
which is an
it's
very
interfere.
interesting concept. How grief and sadness can spread much like a communicable disease.
Right.
I mean, take, you know, for lack of a better argument, 9/11 or the election of Trump or whatever, things that spread grief across the nation,
Yeah.
almost, you know, like a disease.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's why I think I liked it the most, because it also kind of touched on that, like, you know, I mean, May is Mental Health Awareness Month anyway, and so, like, for me, that was really, it kind of, when I watched it, of course it aired before May, but when I watched it was kind of, like, timely, because I was like, well, yeah, that stuff is stuff we have to talk about too, not just, like, the way we rely on our technology, but also the way we process how we do things, how we feel about things, how we talk about things.
Yep.
And I was like, it was just spot on. I loved it. It was great. And I also loved how it also touches on the human need to continue to survive, which is like such a running theme through this show.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, remember like the Star People episode where like
People.
there were little faces inside the machines, and that was how the human race was going to survive. They were all going to get on that rocket ship
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh.
go to
yes,
space, and then they became the little faces inside
Yep.
the little star things, and it was like just that drive for the human race to survive, which it was. I just loved it because it was such a balance of like a bunch of different concepts.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Kind of like contracting out more and more of your humanity to the point where you're less human than you are machine. I
Yeah.
mean, I can definitely see that happening in, well, obviously not in our lifetime, but I mean, we're kind of getting there.
It's
Well, it's how much science fiction is about that the robots, you know, take over and they don't need us anymore after a while.
I think it was Ray Bradbury. I want to say either that or Robert Heinlein. This is, I don't write to predict the future. I write to try to prevent it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the stuff he writes,
which is
like,
smart.
I'm telling you what could happen. That's basically what Black Mirror is. It's like, here's this thing that may be on the future for us in about 5-10 years. Here it is 50 years from now. Can you see where we're going?
Yeah.
Can you maybe, you know, take some
I
steps
think we're
not
in a
to
fix
hurry.
it.
We're in such a hurry with technology. It's always about who can get the next
Well, it's
next
because
version out.
Well, because it
And how
doesn't.
fast.
It doesn't go version 1 to 2. It goes version 1 to 10. I
Right.
mean, it exponentially grows the technology, and that's the scary part. It gets so big so fast and so
Right.
Can continue.
I mean,
wanna-
so
they
we've
wanna
gone
beat
we've
it.
gone
They
further
want
in
the next
technology in the last 50 years than the last 500 years.
more than that. Yeah.
I mean,
and at some point, they're not going to know how to control it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was having an interesting conversation with some friends this afternoon. We were talking about my friend had this camera that you could take a picture on and then automatically print, like on a piece of what are those? The Polaroids.
Yeah.
They could automatically.
Oh yeah, yeah. We've seen those.
We were talking about like, you know, just how far technology has come. And anyway, the conversation evolved to how we kind of feel like this age group that we're in, kind of this like mid 30s, early to late 40s, is kind of in that sweet spot of we know how to work with technology. We're probably really, really good at it, but we also know how to live without it.
Yeah, we
we're straddling both. Right.
We have this wonderful kind of, at least for me, because I know how to turn it off, and I say I've had too much, I'm going to turn this off, I need to detox, and then I also know how to use it to get done what I need to
Right.
get done. And I feel like that's what the newer generation is kind of lacking, is that ability to say, like, I don't have to share everything about my day. I don't have to share everything with everybody. It's not
Because we
everybody's
remember
business.
not sharing everything.
Right,
Yeah.
because not
And we-
everything is everybody's business.
Right. We developed the filter, like walk up in a group of people. I had this for breakfast today, and I had this many people talk to me, and you know, like, whoa.
I don't care.
Don't. Why are you talking to me like that?
Well, it's
Yeah.
just easier than like if you were in. If I walked in this room and told you what I had for breakfast, you wouldn't care. But
Right.
posting a picture of it is so different. Yeah, people will actually like that, and that's weird.
so
I make it a
bizarre.
point to, unless someone is learning to cook and they struggled and they did something, then I will like a food picture. But if they go out to a restaurant, it's like, yeah, I can do that too. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy
Yeah.
that you're having good food, but getting back to what you were talking about, I think we can all agree that the line of demarcation from our generation to the next generation as far as technology is the proliferation of the internet. I'm going to go ahead and say solidly 97, 98. Right around in there is when the internet went from, I can do a few emails and a little AOL chat room, to things really started going. Somewhere between that and maybe the introduction of Facebook, I don't want to say 2002 maybe?
I don't
2004?
Don't forget that MySpace.
Something, well,
Yeah,
whatever.
MySpace.
But I mean, right
my
in there, it's like, if you went to high school and the internet did not exist, then you are in our group where we, we actually had to go to a library,
Yes.
or at the very
Yes.
least, maybe we could email somebody at the very, very beginning.
well, I was in high school.
Not when I was in
High
high
school?
school either.
No,
No.
I don't.
So-
I don't
My
even think that was
research
really a
done
thing.
in an encyclopedia.
Yeah, we had like 6 sets of Encyclopedia
Yeah.
Britannicas because
Yeah.
they kept updating them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
how
had
I did
a buddy
my research.
who was on CompuServe like in high school, and it was like unbelievably expensive from what I
Yeah.
understand.
Oh, it's the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
Now it's a necessity.
Yeah,
That's absolute necessity.
but it was just, and I love the way in that episode it was like you literally wore your emotions on your back or on your sleeve.
right.
And it was like-
that's the concept that I really like.
Yeah.
Not on your sleeve, because
Yeah,
then
it was on your
You
back.
could
You can
look
look
on
like,
it and
"No,
change your mind. Yeah,
I'm happy,
Yeah.
That way it'd be more
It
a true
reflects.
reflection.
yeah,
And that's one thing that I think that says something about humans, in that towards the end there were humans that knew exactly what would happen if you were unhappy, and yet they did not seek to settle a colony away from the nanobot city. They tried to keep going. They needed their technology so badly that they were willing to risk being killed to keep their technology with him, even though there was a deadly side to it.
well, they couldn't leave because that's where all their family was. They were in the ship that the nanobots built the city around. Yep.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true.
They
But
couldn't
I
leave.
mean, they could have easily saved themselves by settling elsewhere. Their family would still be in there in stasis. That'd be fine. But they could have found some way to maybe defeat the nanobots, or at least not be under constant, if you had a bad day and all of a sudden, like, you're dead,
Yeah.
it just...
But we want our technology so badly that we're willing to suppress whatever needs or desires we actually do have to maintain it. And I think that was the huge overarching thing of the episode, was like,
I'm surprised
and then
that-
if we don't understand it, let's kill it, because that's what
Yeah.
they were willing to do at the end. They're like, well, we don't understand it, so we're going to kill it. And it's like, okay, if you just slow down for like 5 seconds, like, come on.
it might have added another layer that they couldn't fit in, but I'm surprised they didn't have the people that knew what would happen if they were sad pop in a shit ton of pharmaceuticals, because that's an analogy to what we do in our society.
They probably
Yeah.
just didn't have the time to get that
it's
deep
like,
into it.
It's
Right.
like, Dan, you've been sad for a whole week now, and you're not taking pills to correct it. So what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah,
it's
Yeah. It was a great episode. I loved it.
was
I
good.
thought
It
it just hit on so many things. So, yay.
And they left a little cliffhanger for the next episode.
Which was super cool.
Oh yes, and we finally, is this the first time when I'm gonna go here? TARDIS goes, no, you're not.
It's not
Has
the
that
first-
happened before?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, they always end up in the wrong place.
Yeah, but this was overtly like, okay, we're going right back to London, and the thing. Oh no, try again. Huh? What's going on? Has that happened before? I mean, there's always been that unspoken, like, hey, I'm gonna hit the button and the TARDIS will take us where we need to go. But this is like, we're going here. Here we go,
Well,
and it didn't happen.
I mean, you could argue that all the stuff with Amy growing up, the TARDIS
It
never took him back. He was trying to come back 3 minutes later, and he never did.
did.
It came back 15 years later when she was grown
Yeah,
up. So
okay.
I mean,
but this is the first time in my recollection that it's been obvious. Like, Doctor want to go here, TARDIS go, no,
Yeah.
you're not going there.
the TARDIS has been definitely a little bit more.
Anthropomorphized.
No, I
A
think
little
I think
bit.
In a
she's
way.
taking him where he's supposed to go.
Right,
Or
but I
he's
mean,
needed.
in that episode
Yeah.
when in the first episode in the pilot when he's trying to decide whether to take her somewhere, he looks at the pictures of River and Susan, and he's like, "You guys shut up." And then the TARDIS made a noise. He was like, "You shut up too," you know.
Yeah.
So she's definitely
Pushing her
she's
luck.
definitely stepping up. Yeah,
Yeah.
She's
becoming more proactive and to where
Proactive
you can
TARDIS.
see it. Yeah.
I hope that continues, man.
Yeah.
Although I will say this, I never, ever, ever want to hear the TARDIS speak.
Well, she already did that.
Well,
she
she already did.
already did that.
No,
She came to a human form,
Yeah.
and we heard her
When
talk.
she was Idris, yeah.
Yeah, and that's it.
but that was through. Wasn't it through like an alien?
No, that was-
No,
that
that was
was-
her. That was her manifestation as
Yeah.
a human.
Yeah. That was the when. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I didn't like that.
so he has suppressed it.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. I always thought
In
that
the
there
TARDIS
was-
form, she'll make noise, and she did even at the end of that episode, but she's not speaking a voice. No,
Right.
no.
I mean, I never. Let me put it this way: I never want to hear a voice come out of nowhere
No,
saying,
no.
"Hey, Doctor, what about like what the?"
No.
I guess the
No.
personification thing was
Yeah.
a little bit of a cheat, but I don't want him to have a conversation with the ether
No,
inside the
not
No,
in the
TARDIS.
actual
no,
box.
yeah.
No.
Because that adds a whole nother, like, that character is there all the time now that could speak, and it doesn't, or it does.
Yeah, no,
and
it's better if it doesn't speak at
right,
all.
Exactly.
So, moving on to the third episode.
Yes.
Now, I had an issue with this.
Thin
episode.
Ice.
Thin Ice.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was weird.
Well, it was weird, but it was also The Beast Below, and it was also they've done the big
Oh, and
thing
the turtle,
chained up. Yeah,
like the turtle with the city on its back,
Right,
like
and the
carrying
whale,
the people,
yeah.
right? Or
They-
the whale.
the whale.
yes,
Yeah, they've done this
before.
pretty much same episode. Like even you could argue in Time Heist that was the one monster chained up. They have to free the thing because it's not evil. It's just
Which one was that?
Time Heist, the one with the where they get locked in the bank and they erase their memories and the big
Oh,
Minotaur
right.
looking dude.
Right. Yes.
So they've kind of done that before. I mean, again, the show's 54 years old at this point.
You think the
so-
Simpsons are repeating
Right,
themselves?
you're going to run out of stuff to do, but this was a little overt for me. I mean,
And
yes,
I-
it wasn't in space; it was under the ice,
Right.
and but it was kind of the same.
And I really love how it's so cold that it freezes the Thames, but your breath doesn't show up.
That would have cost a lot
That,
of money.
Yeah.
we have to chalk that up to the there's no sound in space, but people really want to hear the kaboom and
Yeah.
the pew pew pew, so you put it in anyway. Yeah, because they can.
I don't know why that's so funny to me. That is
I want
never.
to hear the pew 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 all the time.
Oh, yeah.
never
Seriously,
occurred to
I mean,
me.
just take the dog fights in Star Wars,
yeah.
and just remove all the sound that happens in space.
Oh
You can
my
hear
God.
sound inside the cockpit, but as soon as you go to a dog fight out there in space, it's 2001.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Well,
Now they did that. They've done that in Firefly. Did that.
absolutely.
Battlestar Galactica did that, and they
That-
did it just fine.
no, there was noise in Battlestar Galactica for sure.
Oh no, there what? Well,
Are you talking the reboot? Or
The reboot.
Oh, okay. I
the
don't remember
reboot.
the reboot.
Because when they showed fights, I mean, I think there might have been a bit of noise, but the hallmark of those two things is that when they show you a shot from an omniscient point from in space observing the situation, it's quiet.
Oh, okay. I was
Or
thinking.
quieter than it would be in like Star Trek, Star Wars, where everything is pew pew pew,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Which makes me appreciate. I'm really into the Ridley Scott Alien franchise right now,
Oh.
which makes me super appreciate that a whole lot more because you don't hear anything unless it's within
Right.
inside a spacesuit or on a
Right,
spaceship,
right,
Absolutely,
which makes me
exactly.
totally appreciate that a whole lot more.
Yeah.
So, are you getting excited for Covenant?
Oh yes, I just watched Prometheus last week.
I'm sorry. Are you okay?
I liked it.
Yeah. I like it, hate it. I bought it on Blu-ray. It's beautiful. There's a lot of great stuff in there. There's about 50 character flaws. Like, you would never do that, but This podcast isn't about that.
No, it's not about. We can talk about that later.
We can talk about that. We'll do.
I
We'll,
think
we'll,
they already
You
did.
can come on the
we'll do a
Covenant
We'll
one
do a
if you want
Covenant
to.
podcast.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
please! Yes, I'm so
yeah.
excited.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
just one more thing. Apparently, Ridley Scott has said Blomkamp thing is not happening.
Really?
Yeah. So apparently Ripley.
Did they just shove him out of the way?
I don't know.
Did he just flex his muscle like I created this bitch? And
He just said, "I will. We'll see." I mean,
Wait, what's not happening?
I want.
Neil Blomkamp, the guy who did District 9,
Uh-huh.
he wrote this whole treatise and was going to make another Alien
with
movie.
artwork and everything.
Yeah,
No.
with Michael Biehn and
People
with
got to stop doing that. No, that's enough. Enough.
No,
say.
I want Sigourney to come back.
I want
one more
Sigourney.
time.
I don't want Sigourney to come back because she's dead. That character is dead. Or you have to completely just ignore the fact that 3 and 4 happened.
well, that
Well,
was
four
kind
can
of the
four
point.
can still happen because it's so far in the future and it's a clone. 3 is the stinker.
Well, yeah.
That's a crappy fucking film and I hate it. So if they go right from the end of Aliens to Blomkamp's one, I'm happy. I want that. I want to see that.
But so Ridley Scott has said no to this?
That's to say there will be no Alien 5.
Okay.
So apparently there's the numbered ones, but kind of not numbered because none of them are really numbered except for the third one.
Right. Anyway.
But we'll
talk
I'll do
about-
more research.
save it for that podcast.
Okay. So back to the Thin Ice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, wow. A river that you're putting elephants on it and all. I don't know enough about London history. I take the people that live there know better than.
Yeah, can rivers actually freeze?
Of course they can.
Can they?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
sure.
Now they can freeze at the top. There could be just the current gets pushed
Yeah.
down and flows underneath. You know, it's not like a river. Theoretically, freezes
all the way
solid
down,
all the
yeah,
way
yeah.
down to the bottom of the river.
I just didn't buy. I thought the concept was fine, whatever. I just didn't buy the idea that if a river is really thick enough to hold the weight of all those people, all those things happening, but you can definitely see little lights from little fishies,
Right.
like just right at the surface.
Seriously.
And I was like, this is not. And again, I was kind of on the same page as you, Dan. It was just like, we've done the chained up poor animal
Yeah.
crying for help before. It's okay. I mean, it was a good. I mean, in some ways, it kind of brought some of the racial and the feminist stuff into it. I think, which had like with that one
Oh
character.
yeah, the whole, stand when you're before your
Right.
elders, like bit, and then the
he was
doctor
like-
clocked him. I'm like, okay,
which I was like, good for you, awesome.
but
make
we get
a point.
it. Racism is bad. Our history is horrible, but not as bad
you
as
can make
America's.
those points, but have an original story
Yeah.
too. It
Right.
didn't have
Yeah.
to be that.
It didn't have to
friggin'
be
story.
that part of it, but I was
You
like,
know.
that was the only part of the story that I was like, cool, good job with that.
Right,
But the
right,
rest
right,
of it
right.
was like,
Eh.
I've seen it. There was the whale with the city on its back and all
Yep.
like we talked about. I was like, that's okay. I mean, and the kids were cute and they were fun to watch.
Well, I think we can all agree that
They had a happy
that every
ending.
series
Yeah.
there's at least one, maybe two that you're just kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thin Ice is
Oh,
gonna,
yeah,
is
yeah,
so
yeah,
far
yeah.
is the contender for that one episode
Yeah.
in this
And
series.
good. If we're past it, I'm
Yeah.
good with
Please
that.
leave
Let
that.
them ramp up and get better.
What was the
about
one
it.
in the last? Oh, the one with the sleep in the eye, the sleepy dust.
That
in
was
the eye.
one of the worst of
That was
all of them.
awful. And then the dinosaurs on the.
Dinosaurs in a Spaceship. Curse of the Black Spot was one of the bad
Oh,
ones.
that was yeah.
The pirate one was
Which is
terrible.
some of them are like I think they're definitely geared towards more of the kid base audience, which I try to keep in mind when I watch this show.
Yeah.
Is that it's supposed to be a sci-fi show
8 to 80
that kids
Seriously.
can watch
I mean,
and
if
everybody
you're 8 to
watches
80,
together.
Yeah.
So I try to keep that in mind when I watch some of these episodes, and I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to chalk that up to that and
Yeah.
just be like, okay, well, that was not my favorite, but I bet a bunch of kids liked it because there were kids in it that were their
Yeah.
age. And cool.
Yep.
Okay, great. Done. Now let's not do that ever again.
Yeah. So that one, where did that lead off? Did they save the thing? And it was funny because she immediately went to
Set
Google
off the bomb.
and was trying to find
where is it?
where to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like the when the ship hit Big Ben, just kind of people
Like,
just
where-
forget about stuff,
Yeah. Remember when the moon broke apart and then an animal came out and shit out another moon exactly the same size and distance and everything? No, when did
No,
that happen?
nobody
Don't
paid
you
any
remember
attention.
when the Cybermen came? Like, what? What
Yeah,
happened?
do you remember when the space pigs like landed in the Big Ben and dived in the river. And all
Yeah,
that stuff?
yeah.
No, nobody remembers that.
Nobody?
Oh, okay.
Just me?
So I mean, yeah, there's some definite points there too about like we do ignore like some of these things. Like he even says in the thing, he's like, "This will be a blip." And he was like, "In 2 months from now, nobody will remember it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a good point too. Like that's a lot of what happens to our society is like, oh, the bridge collapsed. And then like
We just go about our lives.
and then 6 months later, it's like, oh, that was the thing that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So-
I call it the soap opera effect. You have a character that has been on a soap opera for say 30 years. In that 30 years, they have been convicted of murder. They've been abducted by aliens.
They probably
they've had
died at least
Possessed by
twice.
witches.
They've been possessed,
That's happened.
evil double. So if that
Yeah.
person in 30 years, there was a real person who had actually gone through that stuff, they would be insane.
Yeah.
So there's this need to forget. There's this need to just kind of
Thank you, Days of Our Lives.
Move forward.
Yeah, I get that, but I think it's even more so that we're so wrapped up in our own shit that
Yeah.
it doesn't, it's like, oh, look at that, and then it's gone, especially now.
Yeah, you sensationalize it, and oh my god, a big deal for like Kylie Jenner did this thing. Oh my god,
Right,
it's the worst
until
thing
the next
ever.
thing
and
happens,
then
and you forget about that.
Kanye
Yeah.
does something stupid, and then we're all like, oh.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, and in view of current events, I'm actually a little wistful for the re-election of George W. Bush. Like, remember that?
Remember that guy?
It was bad, but
Remember he just liked to play dress up.
we survived. We survived okay.
He liked to dress up like a cowboy or
Yeah.
a fighter pilot, and you just
Clear that brush. There's so much brush, Haley. It's got to get cleared. Just so much brush.
so nostalgic for those days.
I was like, so much golf to play. Just so much.
Yeah.
So
Ugh, gross.
Anyway. Yeah. So that one. That's our weak link.
Hey,
thus
like I said,
far.
if that's our stinker for the series, good, we're done. We're over
Brush
it,
it
and
past
we're
it.
moving on. And I have a feeling that will be it, because I'm sure Moffat was not going to let his last series be
Uneven.
yeah,
Right.
and wobbly and just meh.
I wouldn't be surprised if the last 3 episodes are either solely written by him or
Yeah.
he co-written.
written and directed.
and gut wrenching.
Yeah, it's going to be rough,
He do that, don't he?
He do, and I really like Capaldi. I really do. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
a really hard time
Yeah.
with that.
Yes.
A lot, like a
Yeah.
lot. Like Matt Smith, I was like, I went back and actually rewatched his final episode, and I actually teared up a little bit that time watching it. But the first time I watched it, I was like, okay, bye.
No,
It
the
was
one
a
that
little-
kills you is
It's
It's Tenet.
Tenet
Oh,
every
yeah.
time.
He's gut wrenching.
that
Yeah.
that one,
I don't want to go. I mean, come on. That's
And I
Tenet. Matt Smith. He ran his course. He definitely. It was a little grandiose his outing, and I think that was more for American audiences. Like, oh my God, you loved him so much, and he has to have the biggest farewell of anybody, and that's fine. And it was good.
whatever.
I like his series better than his out. But
Yeah.
Capaldi has been so good from the word go.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be. He's had some of the best. I mean, obviously he didn't write them, but he's had some of the best deliveries.
Yeah.
Some of the best. I love him, and it's gonna be really, really hard. Do we know why he's leaving?
I think
he said it's time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to overstay my welcome.
Okay.
And what's the average on a doctor? About
4.
3 to 5.
3 to 5 series.
So
yeah.
he's
Unless
on
you're
he's
Tom
on the
Baker.
low side. He's only done 3.
Yeah.
So-
or Christopher Eccleston.
Or Christopher Eccleston, who just does one.
Well, I will
Well, he
put
wasn't a fan.
Heaven Sent, the one with him alone in the castle, up against any,
Oh,
if not
man.
as top,
That-
if not the best episode of the
rough
series,
episode.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, top 2, top 3.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Tour de force on every level, just to on his acting, on the story, on the best description I heard was on another Doctor Who podcast, and they said it's the episode that literally proves that the Doctor is the most stubborn person in the universe.
It's true.
Couple 100,000 years, not a problem.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
a couple million.
Groundhog-
Is it million? I can't remember.
Millions. Yes, it got up into the
just
crazy
groundhog
millions.
this thing
Yeah.
into the ground.
But
literally.
he knew it. Oh my God, so
So
good.
good.
So unbelievably good. So
And I've heard nothing that tells me that we're going to get a female Doctor Who or a Doctor Who of color.
No.
See who they think it might be?
Yes, and
I am so pissed.
yeah, and everybody is.
If that happens,
I didn't see.
It's
it's
redhead guy.
that dude.
Do you remember
from-
Love Actually?
Yeah, that-
Goes, I've got a big wang and I'm going to America.
that guy?
Yeah.
I like.
Nobody wants him,
Yeah.
and for some reason he seems to be a top contender, and I'm not sure how that happened.
Well, there was rumor
No.
that there was a couple of stories that said he's been cast and he's already shooting, and it's like there's no confirmation.
Now,
of that.
keep in mind, I have not seen him in anything other than Love Actually,
I
and that
haven't
was
either.
what 15 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
It's possible. I mean, if you're basing, let's say Batman on the Goodwill Hunting Ben Affleck, you're going, no fucking way. Now you're going, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll keep an open mind, but
Well, I would be
Damn.
interested to, and that's part of I actually have been kind of researching him, and I'm going to see if I can find anything else that he's done to go watch to see if
Yeah.
there's any kind of because I did that with Capaldi.
Yeah.
I had obviously seen him on his little cameos on Vicar of Dibley, and I was like, oh, okay, cute, but had never watched The Thick of It,
yeah.
and so when I went and
was
watched
that,
that,
that's the one him in government?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
Lord
I
works
keep
in
wanting to say
Parliament.
yes, minister, but I know that's not.
No,
No.
it's basically Veep. It's the same. It's
Just-
Armando
just
Iannucci.
rough.
It's Armando Iannucci. It's the same guy who created
Yeah.
Veep. It's the Veep is the American version of Thick of It. But
Yeah, I think Americans are finally learning how to adapt British shows into decent American shows. Doesn't happen very often, but they're starting to
you
do
get
it
the
more
original
than,
creator to do it.
yeah.
that's why Veep works so
like the
well.
Great British Bake Off.
Yeah.
Which one? Isn't there two now?
No, there's a master class. That's different.
Well, listen,
Told you, didn't you?
the only reason I know it exists is because they cast what's his name from the Mighty Boosh in one of them, in one of the shows. It's Noel Fielding from the Mighty Boosh is in one of the baking shows, and he said, I have no idea how to bake. I'm just here to do my.
That's not Great
That's
British.
not the British. No,
No,
that's
there's-
different.
But there was a Great British Bake Off, and then there was a split. Like somebody went off to do something else, and
they moved
and
it over
some-
to Channel 4.
Is that what it was? Something like that. Now there's two baking shows, and one of them
I'm not aware
the guy
of that
from the
one.
Mighty Boosh
Yeah.
in it.
I only.
Okay.
I'm
I mean,
like,
and I love the Mighty Boosh, but I'm not going to watch a baking show. I'm sorry.
Oh, I've watched it. It's great.
it's
I've
wonderful.
watched bits and pieces of it. It's
Again,
on Netflix.
I'm not
so
watching
it's not-
Class because I don't have time. If I don't have time for Class, I
you
sure
can
as hell.
you can watch Mary Berry and Paul Hollywood.
I will watch Sue Perkins in anything.
Sue Perkins.
Well,
is
Sue
awesome.
Perkins and Mel.
Don't know.
I miss. Oh my God. Anyway, they're hilarious too. It's wonderful. You should watch it.
I
I'm a
can't keep
fan.
up with American television if I add in British and, God forbid, some of the good shit coming out of Italy and Sweden. Holy crap! You can't.
No
I
idea.
don't know.
The rest of us all just looked at each other like,
you watch-
Italy?
Started
Sweden?
and we all started shaking our heads like, what?
Did you watch the Young Pope?
No.
Oh, no. Uh-uh.
That's a co-pro
Oh, okay.
with
Oh, okay.
Italy. Let me tell you, that was a sick, weird show. I can understand why Catholics would be offended. So that's why I loved it so much.
Well, getting back to
Yes.
the whole Doctor Who thing,
Oh yes,
my only, I kept
we're
reading the story saying, oh, this guy's been cast, this been cast, but I was like, when they cast Peter Capaldi, they did a whole hour-long reveal special on
Oh,
BBC
yeah.
One saying,
Oh, I remember because I watched it.
yeah, we did too. We watched it live. It was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And at the
on
very
BBC
least,
America.
we've already seen a little clip. It was, I don't know if it was a fast forward in time, but we saw the glow coming off Capaldi in a flash for a second.
I didn't watch the
in one of these episodes.
No, we saw it in the. Yes, we did. When we watched it in the movie theater. We watched the 50th anniversary special
Okay.
with Tennant and Matt Smith. And remember, and they say all 13 of them are here.
Yeah.
That's when you see Capaldi for the first time.
No, I know that. Yeah.
Oh, what are you talking
I'm
about?
talking about his regeneration that is upcoming.
Oh.
There was a little.
See,
Oh,
I
I
didn't
thought-
watch
I thought you were talking about
I didn't
the
watch
past
the
one.
this season on Doctor Who. I never watched
Ah.
that, so I didn't. I
No, I don't watch
I
that
didn't see
either.
Missy. I didn't see the Master.
did.
I stepped
and
away.
Missy, Master, and a tiny
Okay.
clip of that familiar glow
Well,
coming off.
sometimes
Capaldi.
he'll expend a little bit of regeneration energy. Blah blah.
Oh
blah,
no,
blah.
I've
Right.
seen that
Yeah.
too. Yeah, that I don't know.
So,
if
well,
that's-
because what I'm getting at is that my guess is that either we're going to get our new Doctor Who at the end of this series or in the Christmas episode,
Oh,
which
yeah.
stays true to form.
Yeah.
I don't think have they ever had a Doctor regenerate at the end of something, not reveal who
Not
it
in
is.
the new Who. No.
Yeah.
No, it's
So
always been
you
in a
always,
Christmas special.
even if it's for once, like, oh, hello, cut. And
Yeah,
then-
that's
then
what
we,
it's been
Then we
the
know who
last
the
couple
doctor.
series,
So it's what do we got? We're 4 into 12.
Yeah,
So we got maybe 2 months until possibly we'll know who the new Who is going to be, or they may kick it to the Christmas episode.
Or they might not have cast yet. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what I'm saying. It's possible they haven't cast it, which makes
so we
more
might
sense
not
to do it in
see
the Christmas
who he
episode.
regenerates into.
Right.
So
Or they could do a whole big special, and they'll probably reveal
yeah,
it then.
but I mean, I don't think that guy is being cast officially.
Yeah, I
There's
just
been
saw
no
that
word.
online, and I was like, no.
Yeah, no.
That's not a thing. That cannot be a
I will
thing.
keep an open mind, but man,
I would like to go and watch something else that he's done that is not look at my giant wang
Yeah.
on Love Actually. Like, that's the worst character in that whole movie, in my opinion. But I would like to see something else
He's
that
still
he's
funnier
done.
than the 3 girls Amy's in America.
No, for me, the Love Actually sequence that I always skip over is the Laura Linney one.
Really?
It strikes a tone with me that just sours the movie in a
Oh,
way.
see, I think it's
skip over
heartbreaking, and
that.
I do.
Yeah,
love
that
it.
well, that's exactly
I love
why.
it.
Oh well, yeah.
It's
But-
just that's for personal reasons. It's
Sure.
a finely done sequence. It's just
It is very sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would be interested to go and look at, maybe try to find something else that he's done to get a better idea. But like you said, it may not even be him. We may
Right.
be.
Yeah, I don't believe it is.
Because
I
there's
mean-
a lot of people were like, it
What?
should be Richard
Do you-
Ayoade. And I was
do you
like, that
think-
would be
Do
baller.
you think Moffat would put out a false flag?
no,
A red herring?
Never.
No.
No way. I would love it if it was Richard Ayoade. I think that would be.
Ayoade, who is he?
I still hold
IT
out.
Crowd,
It-
Mighty Boosh,
Okay, I probably know who he is.
Hold
but-
it.
Morris Moss,
Who for Mighty Boosh are you talking about?
Richard Ayoade. From the IT Crowd, Moss.
I don't know that.
Did you ever watch IT Crowd?
No.
Oh my god. That's
Yeah.
me. Oh my god, that's one of my favorite
It's
shows
probably buried
ever.
in my 400 disc queue on Netflix.
It's only 4 seasons plus a 5th one-off season to kind of wrap it up. There's only
I want the lead from Black Books to have a shot at being the new Doctor.
Oh,
he would
yeah.
he would be a dark, surly.
Dylan Moran.
Yes, Dylan Moran. Yeah.
Yeah, that I could
Dylan
go
Moran.
for.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
he
yeah.
would be. He would
But
be.
would be
I
great.
still, even if they only did it for one series, I mean, you could, big movie star could take 3 months off to shoot 10 to 12 of Doctor Who. I want Helen Mirren or Idris Elba. I want
Yes.
it. I want it.
Yes.
No, he's he's going to be in the Dark Tower series now.
Right. Well, no, he's busy
booked.
and he's well situated where he is, but just.
And I just watched him in Prometheus too, and I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, tragically underused. It's
Oh
like
my
getting
God, but
A-list
he had
talent.
such a great end scene at the very end.
Yeah.
And it was just
Yeah.
like, and I was like, no, I wanted it to come back in the second one. But yeah, I think he would be great. But we'll see. I mean,
God, Helen Mirren.
I think it would be great to have Helen Mirren, but that's probably
Why
not gonna
can't we have a
happen.
female doctor? I don't understand
I
it.
don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, we had a female
We got
master.
Missy.
We
Hell no.
know that they can regenerate. They can.
They know they can kick ass.
We know they can.
Can handle a scene.
Yeah.
would be
Well,
so
I mean,
cool.
Missy's a Time Lord, so we know it's not like the Time Lords are all male.
Right.
True.
Right.
Right. Well, even
And if we know from the Time Lord Council, they're not all complete dicks.
well, a lot of more. But no. But even
Pierce
in
Brosnan,
the
dick.
Neil Gaiman episode in the Doctor's Wife, when he finds the whatever cube it was, and it said it's from the Corsair, and the Corsair evidently was a Time Lord and a Time Lady, so we know it's canon now. It's definitely
That's
possible.
part of it, yeah.
That's true.
But I don't know why they won't do it.
It may just be that there's a tradition set there.
Well, the thing
and
is,
it's-
there is nothing in canon that says that the Doctor has to be any gender or any color of skin or anything. There's
Right.
nothing.
Right.
There's nothing.
No,
in
I
there.
still want it to be a
I
ginger.
mean,
I want it to be a ginger so bad.
Isn't that guy that you don't want a ginger?
He is.
He
yeah.
is, but I don't want him.
You're not
She's
talking
a
about-
different
you're not
ginger.
talking
Different.
Ed Sheeran, are you?
No.
No.
Because he's been acting in Game of Thrones barely.
I
No,
don't watch that.
And I'm not talking about not being on a screen. I'm talking about barely acting.
Yes. No, because he kept making that reference so many episodes before, and like so many doctors who was like, "Oh, I wanted to be a ginger."
Still not
Well,
a ginger.
even one of the first things Matt Smith says is when his floppy hair, he's like, "I'm a girl." He's not a girl.
I was
So
like, "Oh, I just wanted to be a ginger." I don't know. I want lots of things, but
Well, I want to talk about the last episode that we
Okay.
watched.
Okay.
Knock knock.
Knock,
the
knock.
most. What's our general feeling about that, other than the being
the gross,
creeped out by
like
little-
a scene from the Mummy.
I'm not sleeping tonight
Yeah.
because of the infestation.
That's so
For some reason,
don't like
were you
bugs.
creeped out by the nanobots? No, because they're robots.
Yeah.
But
Well,
these-
they were tiny. They were little bitty.
They were
These looked like
swarms, yeah.
roaches.
Right.
yeah,
I had to
Straight
These
up,
were
like,
like
scarab
swarms,
beetles.
These were like
like-
great big paleological crustacean.
Well, they're just like giant ass hissing cockroaches.
yeah.
They're
That's
like,
exactly what they look like, with
yeah,
little
or like the
light up
scarab beetles
antennas.
from the Mummy movies.
Yeah.
And just like whole, like just
Well, I think that it made it a
Not
good
sleeping.
episode. I mean, it was a good, straight up creepy Doctor Who episode.
yeah, it
you
was
know?
really gross.
Yeah, it was really gross. It was
really
creepy.
Yeah, raise your hand if you were surprised when they were offered a palatial estate for student rents, and you went, "Sure, this will be fine."
You know,
Yeah, nobody.
nobody questioned.
It's like, this is not going to end well.
No.
He's either a
No.
serial killer, or the house is alive and they're going to
I was
eat
like,
them, or
he's
something.
the devil. You know,
But how many of us have? I mean, I know I did when I first like moved out and I moved into this terrible apartment complex. It was clearly like a piece of shit. Like my apartment floors literally like V'd in the middle. Like I had candles that dried on opposite ends of the rooms with the wax doing like this, and my mom was like, "You can't live here," and I'm like, "But it's my place." So like you can understand.
Yeah, you're
like,
not gonna
To me,
question
I'm
it.
like, yeah, I would totally, because I did that.
You tune out all the stuff that normally would make you just shudder.
Because
in
even
horror.
now I think back and I'm like, oh my god, that floor could have caved in. What was I thinking? But you know, when you're 18, 19, 20, whatever these kids are,
Yeah.
you're like, no, this is our first place and it's cheap and it's huge and great
it's mine.
and it's mine, and you know, whatever. And then the place that I lived in got literally torn down like a year after I moved out because it had been condemned.
Damn,
Yeah.
yeah, there you go.
But yeah,
well, and I mean, it was great to see. What's his name? David Chazet. The Poirot
Pierrot.
himself
was
pop up in Doctor Who.
creepy.
He was creepy, and that was good.
was
You
so
need a
But
guy
he
like
was,
that.
but he was also like those last moments. It was like he transformed into that kid
Yeah.
again. Like
Yes.
the tenderness to that acting of turning from like this very senile, crazy, like
oh
keeping
my
my mother alive, and just like how he just kind of turned into
Yeah.
that kid, and it was beautiful. I
was
thought
beautiful.
it was really beautiful.
You need an actor of that caliber to do that.
Yeah.
I need to see the other show. I need to see Poirot.
Oh, the Poirot stuff's great.
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
Haven't
Is
seen
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Don't they do that in fits and starts, kind of like Mirren did with?
Yeah, he did a whole. But well, I mean,
what's the one where she was the detective?
Miss Marple.
No,
Oh,
It's,
Helen Mirren. Oh, that was. I know what you're talking
Tennyson. Police.
about. Yeah, I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
but is that how they do the Poirot? Like they'll do.
Well,
like,
no, it's all the Agatha Christie books. I mean, it's
Okay.
but they did many series of it, so I don't know if they wrote originals
Oh, okay.
or what, because I don't know how many Agatha Christie mysteries there are. But they
a lot.
a lot.
I've got about 15 books on my shelf, and that's a drop in the bucket.
Right, and I know they did like a version of Murder on the Orient Express with him and someone as
I
Mum.
hear that they're doing that as a full. Like
They're doing it.
They're doing
It's-
an American, big budget, big everything.
Yeah,
film.
Johnny Depp, Josh Gad,
They're
Daisy
doing, like-
Ridley.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the whole cover of this upcoming Entertainment Weekly is the whole cast. And just as a sidebar, Your Honor,
Yes.
Josh Gad has been posting videos
Yes, I've seen some of these.
in his dressing room with him and Daisy Ridley. And he's like, "Hey Daisy, I'm just interviewing my co-stars, and how do you feel about this did you like Agatha Christie? Did you who's Ray's parents? Are you Luke's daughter?
Right.
And it just goes on, and then they stage one where at the end where it was oh man, it was a bunch of actors. It was, and I'll have to pull it up. It was like Chris Pratt and oh, what's her name? Was it Marina Sirtis? No. It might have been Marina Sirtis. And they're just going through the whole thing, grilling her like left and right about the whole thing. And it gets to Chris Pratt and he goes, I was in Guardians of the Galaxy. And then it moves on to the next person. It's amazing.
I
It's
like
amazing.
Josh Gad a lot.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Well, it's out in Chris Pine, he's the Star Trek guy.
Yeah.
He's got, what's the one that
He's in
doing?
Wonder Woman.
He's the Wonder Woman. And he comes like,
Steve Trevor.
thank you. I'm here to promote my new film, Guardians of the Galaxy. And everyone's applauding. He goes, wrong, you fell for it. And then he does a whole song and dance number and brings out a chart of all the Chris's, Helmsworth, Pine,
Evans,
Pratt, everything.
Yeah.
He goes, no, yes, this is like, hey, that's you, hey.
Guardians, no.
Yeah, good
Star
work
Trek,
on Guardians.
yes.
Like, no, look, I'm right here.
That's
it's like,
hilarious.
you look the same to me. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hilarious.
So, getting back to Doctor Who, yes, creepy bugs who make up the house.
And we got a little more, shall we say, development or furthering of the Billy Doctor situation, relationship. Where
Yeah.
it's like, I'm helping. Now you're, like, Dad.
I'm still enamored with you, but
No,
don't come
grandfather.
around.
But
Yeah,
I'm
that's
still
like-
like a kid.
But still go
Yeah.
away. You're embarrassing me in front of my friends.
It reminds me of the
Right.
time that when I was 14 years old, a band I was working for was doing a recording session, and I needed a ride from my mom. And the recording session was supposed to start at 8, and I made sure I was there at like 8:10, so I could just get dropped off. We come around the corner, and apparently the guy hadn't shown up for the session, and the whole band is out there. I'm like, oh my God!
Keep
my
driving,
mom
keep
is
driving."
drive! Let me off down the street. No, Mom, don't.
Oh, so sad.
And that's the feeling that I got from him. It's like, all right, thanks for helping. You don't need to come in. Okay, you're in. Now you need to go. Just like
Yeah.
that. And then he pops up in the, I guess, for lack of a dumbwaiter, but not really, kind of a.
Yeah.
Well, it's coming out of the kitchen, so I guess it is. It's
just a big full size.
down
elevator.
to the pantry type
Right.
thing. So,
Right.
where all the dead kids, And that's the other thing. I guess if you're a part of the house for a period of time, that's it for you. But if you're recently absorbed, you can get, because theoretically there should have been hundreds of,
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
kids
dozens
that
of
suddenly
other
showed
kids.
up on the lawn.
That was going to be one of my questions. Was like, well, where's
Yeah.
everybody else?
Yeah. And is it every 10 years? And is it only 6 people? And is it, it was like they
Right.
set up all this stuff that
So
just
was it
wasn't.
77, 87, 97?
Yeah, 17.
2007, 2017.
And,
Yeah.
But, that evidently wasn't the thing.
I was
there
like,
was no
oh
pattern.
no, that's like sad because okay.
Yeah. Hey, at least they brought them all her friends
Oh,
back.
All
I
her
thought
friends
you
came back.
disappeared. No, I've been hanging around. So what you been doing for the last 30 years? I've been a house.
Been a
Been
house,
inside
yeah.
a wall,
Been a house, just kind of hanging out. There.
But this is the second episode in this series where the living space is alive.
Oh yeah, we got the nanobots in the
True.
in the colony.
Which I thought was I don't know that there's anything to that. I just think it's interesting.
Probably
That
not
was a
because.
swarm, and this is an infestation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But there's just these two things where like the house is literally full.
It's like
of
you can't
or
even
create-
trust.
Yeah.
You think you're safe in your own
Yeah,
home.
your structure is
No,
not,
you're not safe.
what it seems.
Interesting.
Yeah,
We'll see.
We'll see.
yeah.
We'll see if there's any random sentences that somebody spoke in 3 series ago that Moffat went. All right, here we go. I'm on my way out. I'm
Come
gonna-
on.
And I went,
Here it is.
Remember when we said this in series 6? Boom.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be the chalk. Could be the listen. Could be all. I don't know. He could pull
So
something
many
out of
things.
his
Or
ass.
that diner could just come flying from out of the sky and we see Clara again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, and they alluded, let me keep my memories. What would you think if someone did that to you? And I'm like, well, he would know that someone had done that
Yeah.
to him, or that he did it
Maybe
to
he
him.
feels it or something.
Yeah,
He
and I
knows
Well,
was
he's
there's a
already
whole-
had it because he wiped his own memory to get rid of the memories of Clara.
Right.
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 Right, but he
Yeah.
would know that he did it because he wiped it.
Well, he
Right.
was going to do it to her,
Right.
or that was
Yeah.
an option.
Yeah.
So I find that interesting. I would really like to see, and of course we haven't. I watched the coming this season, didn't see one of them. I really would like another Weeping Angels episode. I know there's another in on that villain, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
That we haven't attacked. I don't know what it is.
They're his too. He
But
wrote. He
there's-
created
Yeah.
them.
But
so.
I just know that there's something that hasn't been done yet. That'd be like, oh,
well,
that's
Capaldi's
insane.
never met the
That's
angels.
right.
Yeah.
That's
You
right.
know.
But are they going to be able to? Because at the end of Amy and Rory,
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of the idea that they kind of didn't they kind of trip that out and like finish that off?
No,
Like
not
they
the
tripped
angels
the parrot?
themselves. They went back to what they originally were, which wasn't just eating people, which was they pull you out of time, and that was the whole Amy Rory thing.
Right.
Like they brought it back around to, oh yeah, that's what they were originally for. But I don't think they closed up I don't know, maybe he did.
And let's
But I
face
hope
it,
not.
as we all know, things come back in Doctor
Yeah,
Who.
yeah,
How
they-
many
Well,
sure,
times
I mean,
have the Daleks been defeated?
Right.
And they're
There's
never-
always a way because
they're never
there's a
defeated.
particle of them from
And they're
the thing.
time creatures as
Right.
well. So
Well, and I don't know if you saw in some of the clips, there was also like a throwback to like the old school Cybermen with like
yes,
the
with
clothy type masks
they're
and like
they're
the,
coming this season.
Yeah,
so.
which I'm super excited to see.
yeah, like the original.
And we've already had a little touch of Dalek in the pilot.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
took
yeah.
him there, so I'm like, is that to say
that it? Yeah.
checked, and we're not going to do another Dalek bullshit?
That would be fine with me, man.
I could go a series without having the Daleks
Yeah,
in it.
absolutely.
You don't have to have
Yeah.
it every single time.
But I thought it was cool because I actually went back and did a little reading that was a throwback to an episode from which Doctor did they say it was?
I don't remember,
It was
but
it was one of the original episodes of like one of the first like battles between the like when the Daleks were
yeah, there's like
attacking a
jokes in there. Like
Yeah.
he says something about one of the races. And it's like, oh, they don't matter, and that was like a joke because they didn't matter in the original episode. You never got to see them or something.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, I heard about that. I don't
Yeah.
remember which one it was.
I can't remember which Doctor it was, but yeah, they definitely I mentioned that. I was like, oh, cute.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good
and wide collars. We got that in this one.
Wide
What is
collar.
his
He
jacket?
said he,
What, is that a characteristic of Time Lords? Like, no, mostly
Oh,
wide.
the
mostly
wide collar.
wide
Yeah, big
I thought you were
hats
talking
and
about
robes.
Big head,
lapels.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like, okay. And this is something that Billy's doing that some of the others haven't really. It's like they just kind of go, oh, okay, Time Lord, and they move on. But she's like, so
That's
do you
what
have
I
this
mean.
power? Do you have that power?
That's what I mean.
Right.
That's
going
what I
on
like about
there?
her. She's actually asking questions.
asking the
She's just not
question.
accepting everything. as
Right,
right.
and that tells me that that's some sharp writing.
Yeah.
Because to be able to write characters, you have to get in like, all right, you've put your character in this position. What would they do?
Yeah, well, if any of us were in that position, we would ask a billion questions.
Sure.
you
Exactly.
know?
Like what? Yeah, exactly. So
What do you mean you can regenerate? How is this box bigger than the
Exactly.
have
inside?
two hearts.
Well, it goes back to like to me. It
Yes.
goes back to like the Donna companion, where it's like, no, that's stupid. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop. No, you're dumb. No, we're not together. Like like that. That's what I love and appreciate about her is that it's a kind of a. We're going back to that. Kind
Yeah.
Of, it's just a companion. It's literally somebody you're just traveling with. There's no.
Boy,
Past
spaceman.
Yeah, like there's no like past kind of any kind of love interest. There's no past any kind of like anything like
Yeah.
that. It's just I'm traveling with you. It's super awesome, and that's it, which I love.
But I do recall. I think it's Smith, not Tennant, where I think it was Capaldi with Clara. Where he got, that's right, it was because she was dating the teacher,
Yeah.
Danny.
Pink, yeah.
And
Yeah.
even though he had no interest in her, he kind of reveled in the fact like she worships. She'd
She'd rather come
Yeah.
She would
run
rather
around
travel
with
with
me.
me.
Oh,
And he was
Oh,
jealous
what?
of him. Yeah.
she's into him and not me. Oh, and he's actually depressed about that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or offended. Even though if she said yes, you're like no, he wouldn't
Well,
be
he
into
told
it.
her when the first get-go, when he came back around, he was like, I never intended you to think that I was your boyfriend or anything like that. So it was kind of like, nah. But then he was like, but you're only supposed to want to spend time with me, like, and I'm not, what do you mean I'm not as cool or good-looking as this guy?
Well,
Like,
it's a story as old as time. It's like two best friends, and all of a sudden the love interest drags one off, and not as much time for the best friend, and the best friend's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So we've all been there.
Yep.
yes.
Have we said pretty much everything we need to say?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. I have the urge to run a tuning fork over my house.
Medication time. Medication time.
The 9 Billion Names of Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bowden, with Abdul Benny Hassan as the soundless splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Loner. Technical assistance by Cubase Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the Office of Howard Fine. We'll deal with her with the bugs tonight. Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shag Records and is a production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Listen, watch on YouTube, listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us, comlikeabillionpod.com. Until this happens again, I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm Hayley Brotherton.
I'm Courtney. I'm going to find an exterminator.
I'm Michael Reed.
LOZ.
Cheap, 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 cheap. Cheap, 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 cheap. Cheap, 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 cheap. Cheap, 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 cheap. I hate bugs, any kind of bugs, every kind of bugs, crazy little bugs. I hate worms, any kind of worms, every kind of worms, crazy little worms. I like hash and I like stew and I like mashed potatoes too, but I hate bugs, any kind of bugs, every kind of bugs, crazy little bugs. I walked through the park one day, past a big oak tree. A mama bird and a baby bird were fighting terribly. Baby birds eat bugs and worms, but this one was a freak. I don't know how it ended, but I heard the baby shriek. I hate bugs, any kind of bugs, every kind of bugs, crazy little bugs. I hate worms, any kind of worms, every kind of worms, crazy little worms. I like hash and I like stew and I like mashed potatoes too, but I hate bugs, any kind of bugs, every kind of bugs, crazy little bugs. Cheap, cheap.
Audio Primate.